Hey guys, and welcome to Faith Works Designs. I'm Faith, and I am here to share another exciting pattern with you guys. Finally, another pattern released. Only took forever, and it's really not showing up because it's all white. Okay, great. This is the Fender wallet. Now, I've been working on this for like over a month with my testers. My customers are always asking for more card slots, so hopefully this is enough. We have this cute little angle on the front here for our flap. In the very back, it's just plain because everything is on the inside. So on the back, in between the flap and the very back, we have a nice little zipper. If my camera will focus. So when you unzip the zipper, you open it up, there is another zipper pocket on the inside. This is kind of like your, that was the wrong finger to use. There's kind of like a change pocket purse, like a zipper pocket on the inside, and then you kind of have like a little flappy area that you can put things in and then zip it up. And it's very, very cute. Alright, here comes all the goods. Pops of color. Okay, there's cards beyond cards, okay? So we've got an ID wallet here, so you can just kind of put your ID right where you can get to it, and then you've got cards and cards and cards and cards. You can hold 25 credit cards in this thing. Hopefully that's enough. Behind the back panel there is a slip pocket. Now it is just the right size for my busted up phone. You can put your phone in here. So when you close this up, it's in between all of those layers and your phone is nice and protected. There are 4 slip pockets total. So let's just go over the slip pockets because they're amazing. So you've got one behind your ID card, you've got one behind your center card slots, you move that other center card slots out of the way, there's another one right here, and then there's another one behind the back card slot thing. So there are tons of slip pockets, tons of card slots. You can hide all kinds of things in this wallet. She is a little thick, but you know, we like them thick here at my house. But anyway, anyway, I hope you guys like this video, so let's get started. Alright, so first things first, we are going to grab our computer and we're going to go into Cricut Design Space. The very first thing that we're going to want to do is come over here to New Project. Now we have our Cricut screen where we can do all of our stuff and things. I'm going to come down here to Upload and ignore all of those. Those are my testers. Okay. I'm going to click Upload Image, go to Browse, and then all of my kitties. Okay. You're going to have each individual folder. They will all be named, like you're going to have your wallet pieces that need to be vinyl, your wallet pieces that need to be lining. Alright, so I am going to select all of the pieces that are vinyl. So the wallet piece is vinyl, is the one that I'm going to click first. And that is going to have everything for your wallet that needs to be made in vinyl. Or you could say your kind of outer pieces. Alright, then we're going to come up here to Upload, and we're just going to highlight that so that it's green. And then come over here to Add to Canvas. All of your pieces are going to be grouped together. If for some reason you're working with a directional print and you kind of want to move these things around, you're going to want to right click and ungroup, and then you can kind of come over here and you can make them different colors so that each one will print on a different mat. And you know, if you're pretty familiar with Cricut, you can do all kinds of stuff, but I'm not going to do that today. We're going to go over here to Make. We're going to create them on a mat. Okay, so you're going to have several boards. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, you have 9 boards for your outer fabrics. You do not have to mirror any of these, so don't go through and mirror everything. Everything has already been mirrored, and when you put your fabric down, you're going to want to put your vinyl face down and then cut that way. If you have your vinyl face up, chances are good it's not going to stick to your mat. So make sure that your vinyl is face down when you're going to cut it, and that way they will turn out in the correct position that they're in. I'm going to go ahead and cut these off camera because it's going to take a while. And then I'll show you guys how they turn out and which direction everything should be facing. I meant to show you guys and I completely forgot, but I have all of my pieces cut out for my wallet. If you are cutting the 12 by 12 squares so that they just fit on your mat, you can actually cut them smaller. Just look at your screen like with this one and see that that one you could cut out an 11 by 8.5 and you'd be good to go. But I went ahead and just cut everything up in a 12 by 12. I also went online and grabbed a bunch of mats. I think you really, if you're working with vinyl, you really need the heavier duty ones. They're going to be the purple color. These worked fine, but I think next time I'll order the purple. But anyway, you're going to need a good mat for when you get started because you are going to be making 9 cuts. So now I can get started with that. I was wondering why everything was so dark. It's because I hadn't turned my filming lights on yet. Okay, so first things first, your mat situation. Let's talk mat. So when I have my vinyl, I am going to be placing the vinyl right side down. So I'm going to see the other side of my marine vinyl on the top. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take something, and this is just my preference. I take a rolling pin and I just kind of give it a little extra squishy on my mat because sometimes, depending upon what vinyl you're using, it might pop up, and I don't want that in the middle of the cut. So I take a rolling pin and I just kind of roll it over once. Let's talk vinyl. So this was a really nice one that I got from Joann's, I think, but she was a little bit thicker and would not, for the life of her, cut on my Cricut. So some of this stuff I had to do by hand, like this stuff. I had to finish that off by hand. So you're really going to want to pick a vinyl that's going to work for this bag. If it's too thick to cut on your Cricut, you're going to have to do everything by hand. So I picked a really nice thin marine vinyl for today. It's super thin and it'll be fine. Just keep vinyls in mind when you're getting started with your project. Alright, now I'm going to fast forward and cut out some of my pieces so you guys can see them. You're also going to want to choose an outdoor vinyl. Cricut actually has that setting on your Cricut machine. You're going to have to find it when you go to make your wallet, or whenever you're cutting with vinyl, you're going to want to find that outdoor vinyl setting, and that way it'll cut hard enough that it'll cut through your vinyl. Alright, so I have got all of my pieces cut out and ready to go. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you each piece and what I'm making each piece out of so that you'll know kind of where they go on the wallet. So our first one is going to be our flap. Our flap goes down like this. You're going to need to mirror your lining because they're going to go wrong sides to wrong sides. So when the flap mirrors up, I cut my fabric to go like that. If you're using like a directional print, then you're going to kind of have to pay attention to that. If you're not using a directional print, go to town, do whatever you want to do. Then we are going to have our 2 center card slot panels. They're going to be mirrored, so on your cutting it should already be mirrored. You don't have to worry about it. It's all done for you. I just wanted to let you know that they're mirrored so that you can double check and make sure that you're straight. When they go into the wallet, when you open up the back end of the wallet, on one of my wallets, on one of my tester wallets, I wanted to use the print that I had on one side, and then when you open it up to the front, I had just kind of like a plain purple. It's really up to you, whatever you want to do. Okay, so those are your center card slot panels. You're going to have your back card slot panels. This needs to be vinyl because we're going to be adding the card slots to them. Any piece that has the card slots on them, you're going to want to be vinyl so that you can have this raw edge. You're not going to be able to do that with, say, cotton. We're going to have our front ID card slot panel. You're going to have your zipper back panel. This is the part that our zipper lining is going to go onto. You're going to have your main outer panel, and then you're going to have your main outer panel lining. These two, again, are going to be going wrong side to wrong side of each other. For all of my testers, I went ahead and used 2 layers of vinyl. I just kind of want to see if I can thin this out just a little bit. So the reason that I use vinyl is because these edges are all going to be raw. We're not turning anything inside out or anything like that. I think it'll be fine. I'm going to try it in the video, but if you want to do this, I would probably use vinyl on both of these pieces so that you have that raw edge. If you want to try waterproof canvas, fine. Again, I probably wouldn't use cotton or anything like that because it does, I mean, you could use spray check, I suppose, but I just want to let you know that it's going to have raw edges and you're going to see those. Then we have got our zipper panel. Now these I found to be a whole lot easier to make on my own and not on my Cricut, because on the Cricut they only allowed me to put so many on one board. So I just made a strip by the height of these, made a strip and then made myself a template and then cut them out, and it was a whole lot faster doing it that way, and it was a lot less waste of fabrics. So you're going to need 25 of these. Okay, don't forget that. You're also going to need your zipper pouch. So you're going to need 2 of your outer and then 2 of your lining. This is a place that you could use cotton woven if you wanted to. It's up to you. I am going to go ahead and use the water resistant canvas in pretty much all of this. Then we're going to need 2 of our zipper side panels and 2 of our zipper side panel linings. We're going to need 2 zipper tabs that are going to be 2 inches by 2 inches. Don't forget those. None of this water resistant canvas worked out on the Cricut. It was just like wanting to eat it, so I had to hand cut everything out. So I just want to let you guys know, when you're picking out your fabric, just kind of be aware of what your machine will handle and will not handle. So we've got our 2 zippers. We're going to have our zipper for our zipper pocket and our zipper for our zipper pocket to go into. You're going to need 2 zipper pulls. So the one that is for your zipper pouch needs to be kind of smaller. If I were to use this inside the zipper pouch, it would be really hard to get it open because there's not a whole lot of space in between the two. Let me show you. So when I open up my zipper, the zipper pouch is right there. So if I were to have this honkin' zipper pull on the inside, it would probably get caught up a lot and it would be extremely frustrating. So if you've got a big zipper pull, I would put it on the outside zipper, not the inside zipper. So find something smaller for inside of there. And lastly, you're going to need your clear piece for your ID window and then your ID window lining. Alright, you are also going to need 2 sets of magnetic snaps, 2 males, 2 females. You're also going to need some sort of edge coat. If you decide to do the edge coating, then you're going to need your base coat, and then you're going to need some kind of color, or if you want to just make it keep it white, it's up to you. But I'm going to give this a go. I think it's a bad idea, but I want to try it. I just found this at Hobby Lobby the other day, so I just want to give it a go and just see how it looks, because I feel like the edging is going to need some colors. So you need those 2 plus a tool to put your edge coat on with. You are also going to need a crap ton of 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape. When we start doing the card slots, this is when that'll come into play. I also have some 1/2 inch double-sided tape just in case I need it. We're also going to be using some glue in this project. You don't have to use it, but I would highly recommend it because of the fact that your vinyl outer and then kind of the lining, you don't want it to after time bubble up or anything like that on your flap or on your main body. So I am going to be using a glue today. The very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to take care of all of our pieces that are going to need to have that edge coating. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my lining, and this should already be marked for you on where your mark should be for installing your magnetic snaps. I hand cut this one out because of the water resistant canvas not wanting to work with me. So I'm going to have to put my marks there. Okay, so for the side, the shorter side, it's going to be 1.5 inches in from the edge and 3 inches down. We're going to make our first mark, and it's right there on the corner. I'm a little bit nervous about using this water resistant canvas, but I may be pleasantly surprised in the end. We shall see. So for the longer side, we're going to go 1 inch in from the edge, 4.5 inches down, and make our mark. I am also going to be using a couple pieces of Peltex just because of using the water resistant canvas. I want to make sure that those aren't going anywhere and popping out on me when the customer is constantly opening the wallet and shutting the wallet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my washer and I'm going to trace it on my Peltex. I think making these pieces of Peltex smaller and fit in that little square, they stick out less when you're looking at the lining. I used to just cut like 1 by 1 squares, and I noticed on a lot of my wallets they were kind of showing off and I didn't like it, so I started making the washer be my template and then I cut them out. So I put the side marks from my washer on there, and then I traced around it, and now I'm going to cut those out. You do not have to add the Peltex, it's up to you, but I just feel like it probably needs it since I'm using the water resistant canvas. Alright, now we're going to take the washer and place the dot that I made right in the center of my washer, and then I'm going to mark those 2 side lines, and I'm going to do it on both of my marks so that I have those there. Then you're going to take your seam ripper and open those up just where your marks are. And sometimes water resistant canvas, I can just go so I have to be careful with what I'm doing. Now, I personally like to take the female end and put those on my flap. They seem to snap better to the body when it's the heavier duty magnet. So I'm going to put the female end through the front of the lining. I'm going to add one of my pieces of Peltex, and then I'm going to add my washer. Then I'm going to hold my washer down, and I'm going to take a set of pliers, and I'm going to push those sides down. Just like that. And now we're going to do the other side. Same thing, we're using the female end of our second magnetic snap. We're going to put our Peltex on. Then I'm going to grab my washer. I'm going to fold that sides down like so. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our front, our lining, and then our glue, and use some centripetal force to get that glue out. So what I'm going to do is making sure that I get that glue right along the edges, but you don't want, when you put these two together, so that the glue kind of smushes out. We don't want that. So I just want to get it close enough that there's a good adhesive, and then just kind of, you're going to need to spread this out with something. I'm just going to use my finger, but you want these two to stick together. And you may have to use some more glue after you get going. Alright, now you're going to take your outer panel and lining panel and put them together. And they're not going to lay super smooth with the lining on the bottom, so I'm going to flip this over. And then I'm going to take my hands and kind of press them together. Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I am going to base stitch or top stitch around the edges to keep these two together, and then we're going to edge coat it and let it sit and dry. So let's go do that. Alright, so I have got my flap with the magnetic snaps facing up. That way I can make sure that it's just easier to be able to sew it this way, and that way you can kind of see where the magnets are and all that. Not that they're going to be in the way, but it just makes me feel better. So at 1/8 of an inch, I'm just top stitching around this, because remember, again, we're going to have raw edges. So if you're doing it with vinyl, just make sure that your vinyl edges are meeting each other's edges. Alright, so I have got my magnets on. We have sewn around the edges. I went around and made sure that my lining, if you're using vinyl, that your lining and your outer panel are nice and even, so that when you go to put that edge coat on, it'll go on there nice and smoothly. Alright, so now I have got my little tinfoil container, because that's what I do. Now my other container that I normally use is in use right now, so we're making do. Alright, so I have got my base coat. I'm going to pour some in here, just a little bit. And then I have got my color. I hope this works because it's going to be really pretty if it does work. We shall see. And put a little bit in there. If you need to add more, you do. The base coat is going to make whatever color you use stay on whatever you're making. So you have to have the base coat. You can't just use, like, I could just use the purple on its own. You really want to add it to that base coat because that base coat is what really adheres everything together. I really don't need this much, but I kind of want it to be that purple. And I don't know if it's mixing with that white, if I'm going to get that vibrant purple or not. We'll see. I think when it dries, it will probably be more of the purple. What you're going to need to do is we're going to add edge coating to this edge, not this long edge. That's going to be tucked away. You're not going to see it. So now I'm just going to go along and add my edge coat. And I think I kind of like it like that. That's going to be cute. Okay. I like it. With a couple of coats, it'll get a lot more purple as I go along and it dries and I can add more layers. I think I would stick with a solid color for your first one. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to fast forward through me edge coating this thing and then we will go to card slots next. I want to get all the pieces that need to have this edge coating on them. Go ahead and get those finished so that we can get the edge coat on them and so that they can be drying while we're making the rest of the wallet. Alright, so we are going to start with the back panel just to make it a little bit easier, starting with one. When I go to do the center card slots, I'm going to do both of them at the same time so it'll go a little bit quicker. But I figured let's start with one. Alright, your card slot back panel should look like this. So the slats should be going up like this. Flip it over. We're going to take our ruler and on the very top one, we're going to mark out 1/4 of an inch from the top. Just right across there. That is going to remind us that this is the top. You're also going to take the double-sided tape and we're going to put it right about there. You don't want to stitch on top of that or your needle will get all gunky. And I've been doing it all week and it's been fine, but you just need to be careful. So you're going to put a piece of the 1/4 inch double-sided tape right underneath of there, underneath of each one. Just kind of right in the center. Okay, so I have glue and glitter all over me. Alright, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab one of our card slot lining pieces. What you're going to want to do is take this bottom tape off and face your lining so that it's facing like that. It has that same angle. Take your paper off and you're going to put your card slot lining so that it's kind of even on both sides and semi-close to the cutout here. When you go to do your 1/8 of an inch top stitching across here, you want to make sure that you catch this, otherwise it's not going to do you any good. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go stitch this down. Alright, so just like I did with the flap, I'm going to be using a 4 stitch length. I'm going to be bringing my panel over this way and sewing directly down the angle here instead of turning it around and doing it this way. Because if I do it this way, I'm going to have a long tail when I get up here. And I don't want to be using a ton more thread than I need to. So just a little tip. Alright, so about 1/8 of an inch. We're going to start about 1/8 of an inch from this edge right here. Just like one stitch on the outside of that. So it should look like that. I'm going to go to the sewing table and we will pull the stitches to the back. And then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so we've got that all sewn in. Just make sure to kind of start one stitch towards the edge of your slot here so that we make sure that we catch that lining. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove this paper. And I am using waterproof canvas. It is going to make this wallet a little bit thicker and that is okay. I'm not super upset about it. But a couple of my testers wanted to use something thinner and that is absolutely fine. Whatever you find that your sewing machine can handle, use that material. But I'm going to use waterproof canvas. I'm also taking my nail and kind of going across this bottom line here so that it'll lay down a little bit flatter. Alright, we're not top stitching yet. We're going to grab another piece of double-sided tape, and we're going to do just like we did on these, putting it right there kind of in the center. We're going to remove that paper. I'm going to take another panel with the edge going across like that. We're putting them right on top of each other. Just like that, and pressing it down. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch, just like that. This creates our little pocket for our first pocket, and then we're going to create the one for our second pocket. Alright, again with a 4-stitch length, we're going to the next cutout, and at 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the cutout, along the cutout, we're going to be top stitching or kind of base stitching our card slots in place. I just want to make sure that that final stitch goes past that cutout edge. So we've got that stitch down. That should be your second cutout where you're sewing your top stitching. We're going to take the paper off. We're going to again take this end, fold it up. You also need to try and make sure that your sides right here and your sides right here are staying straight. So instead of like kind of adjusting them and moving them around, just kind of make sure that the sides are all straight. And that way everything's kind of even. Alright, and then grab your double-sided tape again. Remove the paper, grab another card slot lining piece. Put it right on top of each other. So that way they'll stay nice and even. Let's take this to the sewing machine and then we'll top stitch it down. Now we're going to come back to the next cutout, and 1/8 of an inch underneath of it, we'll go ahead and sew that in place. Alright, now that we've got that next one sewn down, it should look like that. I'm going to take the paper off the next one, take this end, and also make sure that when you're placing all of these, make sure that your lining is right side up. I meant to mention that and I didn't, and I'm sorry. Just make sure that that is right side up so that when you're looking into the pockets, you'll see the right side of the fabric and not the wrong side of whatever you're using, if there's a right side and a wrong side. I did one of these with that waterproof resistant canvas that I'm using for the lining. I did one with that as the lining for my card slots, and it actually looked kind of cute having all that poking out. Alright, so we're going to take the next one, lay it right down on top. I'm going to go to the sewing machine, sew this down, and then I'm going to continue to do it all the way to the top. Stitching right next to the next cutout, 1/8 of an inch from the cutout. Alright, we got that sewed in place. We're going to remove the next piece of paper. Feel free to fast forward if you've got this, but I feel like it's a tutorial, so you really need to have like all of the steps for going all the way up. Alright, so we got that. Let's get another piece of double-sided tape like that. And then remove the paper. Add your next layer. And press it down. Alright, now let's go back to the sewing machine. Got that next one done. It should look like that on the front. I'm going to take the next paper off. I'm going to take this edge, fold it up. And again, remember to try and keep these straight and this side straight too. Alright, then grab another piece of double-sided tape, take the paper off, add another lining piece, and back to the sewing machine. Alright, so that one's sewn in place. It should look like that. We're going to remove the paper again, take this next one, and place it right underneath of there. Grab some double-sided tape, okay, place the double-sided tape and then remove the paper. take another lining piece and place it right on top. We're almost done with this one. Woohoo! You're going to sew this down, and the next thing to do is plop that up there and then sew across that, and you're done with that one piece. Alright, last one. Should look like that so far. Next thing I'm going to do, take this paper off, and then where that 1/4 inch line is, you're going to line up your lining. That's why you added that 1/4 inch at the top, so you know exactly where to put that edge. Alright, now we're going to go to the sewing machine, and then we're just going to, on the other side, 1/8 inch, top stitch along there. Alright, now that your back panel has all of the card slots in them, next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our trusty dusty 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I am going to put a strip right along this edge, just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some clips, and then I'm going to take that paper off, and I'm going to meet up these corners, and you can pinch that down if you want to. And I'm going to go to the opposite side. Now some vinyls that I've been working with have been kind of, they're not interfaced, so they can be kind of stretchy. So keep that in mind. I've been trying to like work from the outside in, and the double-sided tape will help you kind of like hold it in place. You really, really, really want this end right here to be as even as physically possible, so that when we take it and we push it down like this, we're going to top stitch along this side 1/8 inch. And that, I think that double-sided tape is holding it well enough that I'm comfortable with going ahead and sewing it. So on this side where it's not put together with the double-sided tape, on this side where the fold is, this is going to be a slip pocket. We're going to take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew 1/8 inch from the edge and sew that down. Alright, 4 stitch length. It's going to go all the way across. I am going to back stitch 1 stitch, and so 1/8 inch is what we're going to be sewing with our 4 stitch length. Alright, so we're all done with this. We've top stitched down this side. The next thing that you need to do is I put a little bit of 1/4 inch down this side and inside of here, and then press these edges together so that I have a nice flat edge all the way around those 3 edges. Now you need to take this and you need to edge coat these 3 edges right here. Then we're going to move on to the next step. Grab your center card slots. I thought making white with the rainbow colored would help you guys be able to see this project better, and then I forgot that my double-sided tape is also white, so not helpful at all. Sorry, I was trying to be. Okay, next thing we're going to do is put your center card slots so that they're facing each other. The lines, the cutout lines, should be going up towards the center. Just like that. You're also going to make the 1/4 inch mark that you made earlier on your other one. You need to make it on the top of this one and on the top of this one. Go ahead and put all of your double-sided tape all the way up. Then we're going to do these together, because taking that back and forth to the sewing machine and the table would take forever with these two. Ask me how I know. It's going to be annoying. Alright. So these card slots are going to be facing this way, while these card slots are going to be facing that way. Because they're mirrored, when you bring them together, they will both be, say, on the inside of your wallet. They'll both have your card slots, so that your card slots come through the top on this side, and your card slots come through the top on that side. That's why I have them like that. So when you're adding your card slot lining, they need to look like this. And I would lay this out on your table just like that so you don't get confused. And if you need to do one side at a time, you do one side at a time. I am going to make sure that my card slot lining is nice and centered. Push that down. I'm going to come over here and take that paper off and put my next lining just like that, nice and centered, and press it down. Then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and do just like we did with the last one, at 1/8 inch, top stitch this so that that lining is in place. Alright, again, we're going to be taking it so that we're sewing towards the outer edge so that we don't have so much of our thread, because if I was doing it this way and I got up to like here, I'd have to have so much thread pulled out, and we don't want to waste thread. We want to use what we got. Alright, so on the very bottom cutout, we're going to just sew 1/8 of an inch. Then I'm going to grab my second one, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're just doing opposite sides. I'm hoping doing 2 sides isn't too confusing, and I apologize if it is confusing. I just thought it'd be easier to do it this way. Alright, we're going to take paper off of this side, bring the edge, the bottom edge up, and then I'm just going to take my thumbnail and kind of push that down. I'm going to take the paper off of this side, same thing. We're going to grab another piece of double-sided tape, just like we did on our other one. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to take that paper off. I'm going to grab another one. And remember, it's facing this way, not this way. You're just kind of following that angle. Take the paper off of that one. And this one is facing the opposite way. Need to make sure that these are evenly distributed along this line, because you don't want the edge of your materials too close to this edge, because these two are going to go right side or wrong side to wrong side together, and then we're going to stitch 1/8 of an inch down this way. So you need to make sure that there's not one of these like all the way over here, is what I'm trying to say. So make sure that they're nice and even in between those cutouts. Alright, let's go back to the sewing machine and sew those in. Alright, now we're going to start the next one. So here's our first cutout, there's the next cutout. We're going to start underneath of that second cutout. And we're going to do that to both sides. Alright, so we got that sewed in place. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our paper off, lift that next one up, we're going to grab our double-sided tape, take the paper off, it will come off, and then grab another panel, making sure that we're nice even Stevens. Take your other paper off and add the next panel. We'll go back to the sewing machine and stitch this row down. Alright, got those sewn on. The next thing we're going to do is take that paper off again, put that end up, alright, let's go back to the sewing machine. Now that that is sewn, they should look like this. I realize I have not been showing you the fronts. Alright, take that paper off. Let's go to the sewing machine. Alright, you got that sewn on. It looks like that. Alright, we're going to remove the next piece of paper. We're just doing this over and over and over again until we get all of our card slots done. Then we're going to add the double-sided tape again. Remove that paper. Right, let's go back to the sewing machine. Alright, now we're going to take the paper off. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Add your double-sided tape. Take your double-sided tape paper off and try and keep the double-sided tape to stay there. Oh my goodness, sometimes it depends on what materials you're working with, but sometimes that double-sided tape is like, I'm coming with you. Alright, back to the sewing machine. Alright, last one, guys. Move that paper, meet it up to that 1/4 inch line that we drew. then last trip to the sewing machine for this piece. Alright, so we've got all of our card slots done. Each side should look like this. You should be able to, if you want to, go ahead and try your cards in your card slots. Make sure everybody's going where they're supposed to be going. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to grab one of the panels and I'm going to grab some 1/4 inch double-sided tape on this end. And then I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch double-sided tape. And I'm going to put it on this side of the card slot. So about 1 inch away from the card slots, just so it's not in the way. So you've got your 1/4 inch and then you've got your 1/2 inch. Okay, first things first, we're going to take that paper off the 1/4 inch. And I am going to make sure that my card slots are facing the same way. So I got my card slots going in this way, and on this side my card slots are going in that way. I'm going to do just like I did before and line up the edges. And I'm going to push it down towards that double-sided, the 1/4 inch double-sided tape on the edge. Just like that. Then I'm going to come through and take the 1/2 inch double-sided tape paper off. And I'm going to make sure now that I'm getting these edges on each side straight. And then press it down to that 1/4 inch. Alright, now, this is the reason why I didn't want to use white, because you're going to get something all over it. Alright, I'm going to work on that later. Alright, first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to start on this end at 1/8 inch, start sewing from here, down, around, and back up. We need to sew on this edge, 1, to close it up, but 2, we need to sew down this edge so that our card slots will be nice and tight. We're going to put another seam right here. So again, the card slots will be nice and tight. None of your cards will be falling out. So let's go do that. Alright, so if you want to, you can backstitch here. It doesn't really matter. This end is not going to be seen. Alright, so I am just going to go all the way around 1/8 inch. And again, I'm still using a 4-stitch length. Alright, so we need to make another mark on this side so that we can make sure that those card slots are nice and tight and they're not going to just be falling out everywhere. I have this from Mormino, but this particular vinyl, it just is there for life. I can't wipe it off. It's annoying, so just make sure that whatever tool you're using can be erased really easily on the vinyl that you're going to be using so that it won't show up. I'm not going to dye over it, it's fine. With your card slots on this side, take your ruler and measure 4 1/4 to the left, so over this way. And we're going to be lining up the edge of our card slots on our ruler at 4 1/4. I'm going to hold this down, and then I'm just going to really lightly make a mark going down. That's going to be my seam line. That's where I'm going to sew so that this is nice and tight and it will hold those card slots in place. Alright, again, so that my zipper foot isn't getting in the way, I'm going to sew it so that the card slots are on the left and then the tail is towards the right. Just gonna back you guys up a little bit. I'm going to start right where this stitch is, so about 1/8 inch in, and I'm also going to stop in the same spot, or at least I'm going to try to. It's really hard to see with the camera in my face. Okay, so you see how my sewing foot is right up against where the waterproof canvas is on the inside. We want this to be nice and tight. I do not want my cards falling out all over the place. Alright, so we have got our center card slot panel all done, ready to go. The next thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to edge coat this. Go ahead and do it now because it's a little harder to do once the wallet is all put together. So you're going to want to start your edge coating here, all the way around, and back to here. Don't do this side. We're going to do that once it's attached to the bag. Alright, if you haven't already, go make a second coat on your flap and your back card slots. If you haven't already, go ahead and do that now because it's probably dry long enough. Okay, Now, we've got your ID wallet card slot panel. On the card slots, you want to put your double-sided tape on just like you did your card slots right there. You also want one over this center cutout right here, and then one over your ID window, and then one under your ID window, just like that. You're going to use a lot of double-sided tape. Just accept it now. Alright, we're going to remove the double-sided tape from over the ID window. Alright, once you have that paper off, take your clear ID window and place it down like that. You can go ahead and take the paper off the bottom one. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this to the sewing machine. We are only going to stitch along the top line of our ID window. That's it for right now. Alright, so we're still at a 4 stitch length. So I'm starting, our top slip here is for our ID wallet to go in there. I'm going to start right there, but 1/8 of an inch away from this edge. So I'm just basically sewing right down the center of this line right here. But I'm starting at the edge of the place where you're going to slip it in. And then I'm stopping at the end, and I'll show you in just a second. So I've got my stitches starting at that corner and ending at this corner. Alright, so we started our stitching right there on the edge of our slip that we're going to put our ID in, and then we finished on the other edge of it. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. I'm going to add another thing of double-sided tape down at the bottom, and just right on top of that ID window. And then this piece of double-sided tape right here, we're going to take that paper off, and then we're going to take our ID window lining. And you also, if you're using a directional print, you need to make sure it's facing the right way. So I've got it like this. I'm going to lay it down like that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have to sew all the way around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here at this stitch. I'm going to go up past this slit that lets you put your ID in there. I'm going to go up past that, and 1/8 of an inch I'm going to sew across that top slip, come down this side, and then back down, and then back up. We're just making one big rectangle all the way around. So let's go do that. Okay, hopefully you guys can see it, and in editing I'll try and get you a little bit closer. So I'm just going to start, because I'm left-handed, this is the side I'm going to start on. It's going to be a little more than 1/8 of an inch. You're just kind of from this edge, right? We're just going to be sewing right next to it to sew it down. And then you're just going to want, if you wanted to, you can mark this before you started it so that you can keep an even seam allowance. But when I get down to here, then it's going to be 1/8 of an inch. And now when we get to this side, you're going to want to make sure that your stitch line is coming in contact with this line just like it does over here. So you're going to want to drive straight, come to here, and then back up and over. So for me, that was like about 2 stitches. If it could be a continuous stitch, that would be great, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, and that's okay. Alright, just out of the way. Now we're going to do 1/8 of an inch, and we're just going to come right back to that one. So as you can probably see, we've got a nice little rectangle like that. Alright, so I reconvened with my ruler. You're going to have about 1/4 of an inch overhang for each side of your slit at the top. So you're going to want to sew at about 1/4 of an inch on this side, 1/8 of an inch on this side, and then 1/4 of an inch up on that side, and then 1/8 of an inch that side. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to something that's easy. And we're going to go back to card slots. Just like we did on our other one, our card slots are going to be facing that way. So we're going to take paper off, and then you're going to center it press it down, and then we're going to go to the sewing machine. Alright, just like we did with the other ones, we're going to be starting here on the bottom row, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Alright, so we've got that sewn in, so you will have sewn right across this bottom right here. Okay, now we're going to take this paper off. We're going to take this edge right here, just like we did on the other ones. Put it up there, and then I'm going to take my nails and I'm just going to kind of pinch that down. Okay, now we're going to grab another piece of double-sided tape. We're going to put it right there. And grab another one, right side up. Alright, now we're going to take this back to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch along the second one. Alright, so we're going to start right there, a little past this edge. Alright, now we're going to remove, well, now we've sewn across there, we're going to remove the paper. And we're going to fold that end up again. Grab another piece of double-sided tape. Put another of our linings down. And then we're going to go back to the sewing machine and stitch on the top. Alright. Now we're sewing along this third line here. Alright, we've got our third one done. Now we're going to take the paper off. Grab another one of your liners. Put it right on top of the other one. Press it down, and let's go back to the sewing machine. Alright, so we're going to do on this side right here. So at this point, we're almost done. Yay! Alright, now we're going to take this end up to this line right here. And then press it down. And then take it back to the sewing machine. Alright. Last one, guys. At least card slots. We did it! She's all done. Alright. Now what we need to do is grab some more double-sided tape. I told you guys we're going to need a lot. Okay, we're going to put it right along like we just did on the last one, only this time we're going to add it to the sides, just where the ID window is. So right along there, and then along the other side, about the same amount right there. So you have 2 on this side, and then 1 going along here. What we're going to do is I'm going to take the top one off first. I'm going to meet the sides up and then kind of push them together and just make this top edge go together. The sides should meet up just fine, but I'm going to start at these corners just like that and then press them together. Now once these edges are nice and flat, go ahead to this side, take that double-sided tape off, and then make sure that the edges of the side is meeting together. And then do the same thing on the other side. So remove the tape, like that. Okay, now we're going to press that down. Okay, we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and then at 1/8 of an inch, we're going to sew and top stitch down that side. Alright, so we're just going to go right down the side, not the side that we just taped together. We're not going down that side. We're going down this side.